Hello, let's learn English through reading. Today we are going to read The Magician's Nephew, which is the number one book from the Chronicles of Narnia. The author of the book is C.S. Lewis. You can see the author, C.S. Lewis, on the screen right now. Alright, let's get started. So these are the different versions of the book, The Magician's Nephew. And we are going to read this free PDF version, which we can easily get from online, which is free. So you can also search through Google and you can also save it and read it. Okay, this ebook. This is an ebook. So let's check out how many chapters are there altogether. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. How many chapters do you think? Okay, up to 15. Okay, so today we'll start with chapter 1, which is the wrong door. The topic of chapter 1 is the wrong door. This is a story about something that happened long ago when your grandfather was a child. It is a very important story because it shows how all the comings and goings between our own world and the land of Narnia first began. In those days, Mr. Sherlock Holmes was still living in Baker Street, and Bastables were looking for treasure in Lewisham Road. In those days,
you
if
had
you were
to wear
a boy,
a stiff
you had eaten collar every day, and schools were usually nastier than now. But meals were nicer. And as for sweets, I will tell you how cheap and good they were, because it would only make your mouth water in vain. And in those days, there lived in London a girl called Polly Plummer. So I'm going to read the first or second passages, then we are going to talk about the important words or the new words that might be new to the reader. So the very first one is
Stiff-eaten collar.
It's a noun. It is a broad, stiff collar,
Originally of linen,
as that weren't folded outside
an eton
you
jacket.
can see in the photo I have shown over here. Nasty, nastier, which is an adjective. It is bad or very unpleasant. So over here it means the author wants to talk about wants to compare the past tense and the present tense. In the past, schools were usually nastier than now, but meals were nicer. He said meals were nicer, like lunch, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And as for sweets, I will tell you how cheap and good they were, because it would only make your mouth water in vain. The author is acknowledging that describing sweets will make you want them desperately, but since you aren't there to eat them, that desire would be useless in vain. Okay, so that the author wanted you to know that sweets were very cheap and very good. However, it will only make your mouth water in vain. So he is not telling you about how cheap and good the sweets were. She lived in one of a long row of houses. So in here, she means, let's review once again. And in those days, there lived in London a girl called Polly Plummer. So Polly is the very first character that we have to consider, okay? So she lived in one of a long row of houses which were all joined together. One morning, she was out in the back garden when a boy scrambled up from the garden next door and put his face over the wall. Polly was very surprised because up till now there had never been any children in that house, but only Mr. Catterley and Miss Catterley, a brother and sister, old bachelor and old maid, living together. So she looked up, full of curiosity. The face of the strange boy was very grubby. It could hardly have been grubbier if he had first rubbed his hands in the earth and then had a good cry and then dried his face with his hands. As a matter of fact, This was very nearly what he had been doing. So let's study some of the words. And as you have read, as we have read, we know that they are now another character, which is a boy from the next door. At first, that house used to, and had never been any children in that house, only Mr. Catterley and Miss Catterley. So 4 people now. Polly, the guy from the next door, and Mr. Catterley and Miss Catterley. Okay, so and Mr. Catterley and Miss Catterley are brother and sister. They are also bachelors and mate. Okay, so scrambled up. Let's talk about scramble up. Scramble up, to move or climb quickly but with difficulty, often using your hands to help you. Bachelor is a noun. It is a man who has never married. Maid is a girl or young woman who is not married. Curiosity, over here we said, so she looked up. She means Polly, right? Polly looked up, full of curiosity. Who is that? I've never seen that guy before. Curiosity, meaning an eager wish to know or learn about something. Grabby, dirty, grabby, dirty. As a matter of fact, it is used to add something more to what you have just said. Hello, said Polly. Hello, said the boy. What's your name? Polly, said Polly. What's yours? Diggory, said the boy. I say, what a funny name, said Polly. It isn't half so funny as Polly, said Diggory. Yes, it is, said Polly. No, it isn't, said Diggory. Okay, here comes Polly and Diggory. This is they are having a conversation now. Do you think they are having a great conversation? Of course not. At any rate, I do wash my face, said Polly, which is what you need to do, especially after... And then she stopped. She'd been going to say, after you've been blabbing, but she thought that wouldn't be polite. So she stopped saying that. All right, I have done, said Diggory in a much louder voice, like a boy who was so miserable that he didn't care who knew he had been crying. And so would you, he went on. If you lived all your life in the country and had a pony and a river at the bottom of the garden, and then been brought to live in a beastly hole like this. Okay, they're here now. I feel very bad for Diggory. At any rate, meaning whatever happens. At any rate, at any rate, at any rate, whatever happens. Blubbing, meaning it is a British slang term for sobbing or crying. Sobbing, crying. Sobbing, blubbing, sobbing. Miserable. He is miserable. He was so miserable that he didn't care who knew he had been crying. He's so miserable, meaning he was so unhappy or causing much unhappiness. Beastly, hole, meaning a mean house or a dirty house. Oh, I can feel him because he had been having his life in wherever he lives, in a life in the country, and he had a pony and a river at the bottom of the garden, and then suddenly he had been brought to live in a beastly hole like this, which is Mr. Catterley and Miss Catterley house, I guess. So he has been so miserable. So I guess you understand up to here. I think this story is really very, very interesting. So if you think this is interesting and want to know more about this story, please continue watching the other videos, okay? So, to be continued. See you in the next video.